Okay, Pisces, welcome to your March general reading with yours truly, Dr. Fryson. I want to start by saying happy birthday to all of us, Pisces, including your girl. It's our season, and thank you so much for joining me. I know it's a little late. I'm going to send you an apology because I should have done this first, but I did kind of go through the zodiac sign a little differently, but I'm here to give it to you. So, if you're new to my channel, these readings are new for me because I normally do just a general reading, but I decided for the month of March, I'm going to go through and do a reading for each zodiac sign. So, here we are. Remember to watch my daily guidance, which goes over your affirmations, your numerology, and your astrology energy. And then this is going to go over your astrology, your lessons, and just energy related to that, right? The moon energy. So I went ahead, looked at everything, took some notes, and then I'm going to actually look at some parts of your chart while I'm on the screen here. So, first thing I did was pull a card, and I have not looked at it. So, let's see what this card is. Discipline. Oh my God. I can accomplish what I set my mind to. Okay, so Pisces, fellow Pisceans, we need to have discipline this month. This is the lesson for us for the entire month. We're going to be disciplined. We're going to set our mind to something and we're going to achieve it, right? So that's our lesson card. And these cards are from the Soul's Journey lesson cards by James Van Prague. I believe is how you pronounce his name. All right. So discipline is what we're working on for this month, which is really kind of ironic that that card came up considering the moon and how that's going to impact us during this month. But let's get into what we have going on. So, if you've been watching for other signs, you will already know that there's the energy of all of these planets lining up together. And with those planets lining up together, they are bringing a bunch of energy at one time to us, right? And although Pisces is good at multitasking, Pisces likes to have some things like be like, I'm gonna deal with this today, that tomorrow, that the next day. We're not going to be able to do that as well because the energy is out there and it's just coming rambling like, okay. So that being the case, let's talk about the major things that's happening. And again, I took notes for us when I looked at some things, and we're going to get into what all of that means. So I have some highlights on my notes for big things that are happening with us because of the moon. And I'm into moonology and the influence of the moon. So I have some things I'm going to go over with you guys. So let's start with the first week. The first week is already over because I'm making this actually on the 9th. But I want to mention the first week because the first week energy is going to come back around in essence. So for us, for Pisces, when you have the energy that's out there, the Venus, the moon, that kind of energy, the Mercury, all of that is going following the 12th house for the world, right? The 12th house is Pisces. So if this is your rising sign, that's in your first house. That's in your body. That's in your constitution of the self, right? That's this first house that you live in each and every day. So that means that you're going to feel that Venus energy, right? You're going to feel that Mercury energy. You're going to feel that North Node energy. And then as the moon and those portions of it come into place, you're going to feel that keenly because it is your first house. So this energy is impacting you more than any other sign at this point because it's Venus and Pisces transitioning your element. So that means it's a double whammy of energy. In addition to that, this energy is going to be aspecting your seventh house. And your seventh house just so happens to be partnership. So you're going to have all of this energy pointing at you, the self, plus pointing into your relationships, right? So when I mention something for the Venus influencing the first house, just know that it's going to have an influence on the seventh house as well, and Mercury by the same token. So what does that mean? Because people think of Venus and everybody thinks of Venus as love, which is great. Venus is love, and on one aspect, right? The positive impact of Venus is love. The positive impact of Venus is beauty, of being creative, enjoying life, right? But the other side of that is being a little bit too much spreading it to everybody, kind of, so to speak, meaning sharing love with all the people in the wrong ways, too sexual, overly sexual, right? So in partnerships, this could be a time where you're enjoying love with your partner, or it could be a time where somebody is actually being with more than one person. right? So it's both sides of the energy are possible during this time. And it changes, depends on what specifically is in your chart. Remember, this is a general reading. So that energy is out there. But at the same time, there's also this Mercury energy, which Mercury is a really good energy. That's a thinking energy. It's all about creativity, writing, and it's joining with Venus. Just think of Venus and Mercury like the brother and sibling duo, right? They get along really well. So they cause you to get things done in essence when they're working together. One thing I want to caution you is just depending on what's in your chart, your Mercury might be just now entering along with the Venus. So you might not have as much of that little energy that's coming in. It's like, I'm gonna make my plan, I'm gonna get it all done. Bam, because Mercury is a very intelligent sign. You might have just a little bit of it. And in addition to having that, you have the influence of the moon. During the first week, you're going to have it again in the last week, but in the first week. So all of that energy that's there that appears to be good and appears to be great is now squashed by the moon. Because in this play, let's think of this as the moon being the mom, right? So Venus and Mercury was having a good time out there doing their thing, enjoying life. And the mom comes in and says, clean up the room, right? The mom comes in and says, no, stay in the house. So although you might want to go be social with your partner, go out and do things, there may be influences in the world that prevent you from doing that. And I'm using the world as the moon energy. Doesn't necessarily have to be your mom or mother figure. It could be someone in that type of role, a mothering type energy. It could be a job that has you do overtime. It just could be other things that cause that energy to come into play, right? Now, the other part that there's some secrets that will be revealed during that first week. And so you may already have experienced this. And then the next thing I want to point out that's kind of key is that you have a Jupiter here, and your Jupiter is actually in your third house of communication. So Mercury's tied to communication, right? Jupiter's in your third house of communication. And with Jupiter being in your third house of communication, it is also in the second house of Taurus. I mean, in the constellation of Taurus. Taurus is a hardworking energy. So you have, I want to get things done. I want to make things happen. I want to make things happen by writing. I want to make things happen by communicating. And then you have some energy that is like, well, we're going to slow that down because the moon is going, you need to rest. You need to recover. You need to watch out for yourself, right? So you might have some plans that seem grandiose and great and could move life forward for you. And then you might have the same energy of someone saying, go take a nap. Okay. So it's okay that those conflicting energies exist. I just want you to make sure to be aware that it's happening. And because it is happening, you might just need to pick and choose, right? What am I going to focus on? Maybe I only have this much energy and I'm going to use it for my business, or I'm going to use it for my relationship, or I'm going to use it for my kids, my husband, my wife, that kind of thing. It is a pick and choose because there's so much energy happening, right? That's the first week. And then, now let's move on to some aspects in the second week. So this is where I took some notes because we have a lot of things happening in our second week. And I'm saying we because, I'm your Pisces. And I do kind of, use this information for myself, although I have my specific chart. Okay, so the second week, which we're talking about, when I'm talking about the second week, I'm going for the 8th, right? The March 8th energy. So we're in this energy right now. This is like the 8th through the 14th. During this second week, you're going to have some challenges that come up with that mom type energy with children. So you might have a conflict with a child or hear of conflicts with children or a childlike person. So if you're in a position of a mother figure or a father figure, a parent figure, you might hear about conflict with the child and the mother, or it might be you directly having conflict. It could be one parent having conflict with a child and they want to come discuss it with you, right? So it's a possibility. So you still have the first house being influenced heavily by Venus, but now Venus is retrograde. And with Venus being retrograde, a lot of people don't like Venus in retrograde. I actually do like Venus in retrograde because what it does is it brings up old things that need to be concluded. They need to be focused on. in general, most people think, oh, it brings up old love relationships that we need to like settle out. Yeah, that can be the case, but it can also be an old job that you were thinking about going to and you need to reevaluate. Oh, do I want to go backwards? Remember, there's a reason why you left whatever energy that you left, but there's a time to reflect, not necessarily to go back to that. It also could be that you're thinking about things that you actually love and things that brought you joy in a previous time, right? So that could have been an activity that you did because there's Mars energy going on, and Mars is an active energy. That could have been something you did, like play baseball. For me, belly dancing, yoga, and you might want to return to that or take that up. I caution you about doing too many things because, again, you have a lot going on. It's not a good time to just add so much, right? You got to pick one. This is really a time to actually edit yourself. This is a time for you to be like, okay, this one thing, perhaps this one thing could be what I'll work on. So if you can think about it, write it down and say, maybe next month when I have more energy, I'll go back to this because this month is going to be a little bit draining on your energy. Okay, so the other thing that I wrote down for the second week is that the when we have the Saturn and the Sun energy working together, we have the Saturn and the Sun energy working together in the 12th house for you, which is actually an Aquarius sign, which is another sign of working hard and putting in the energy and the effort that it takes to make something become a reality. And working hard is great, but is also a sign that you could have worked too hard, right? So you could have put a lot of energy into a project and you may or may not be seeing the fruits of that at this point. And let's look at something else here. So this energy is also aspecting the Saturn Sun energy is aspecting your fifth house. Your actually, excuse me, it is your your fifth house that is aspecting. And with it aspecting your fifth house, that is bringing in the whole situation with children again. So you might have a sibling who has a child or a grandchild that you find out there's some issue with, like one of your relatives' children or something that you have to deal with them. It could be great news in the fact that somebody's going to give birth to a child. Somebody, it's energy, something that you find out about them related to a child, right? In your partnership, which means your relationship with a significant other, not just with your job or friends, there's a little bit of hidden energy there. And when I see this, it tells me that you're in more of a energy of being by yourself. So you might be a little distant, a little bit aloof from your partner. Pay attention to that because that energy could cause someone else who's not really into the whole Pisces moodiness to be like, wait a minute, does Pisces like me? Do they not like me? And you have to make sure you express that, yes, I do. I just have a little time that I have to be by myself right now. So you have to communicate, you have to express yourself, right? And be careful to not express yourself too much in ways that are not positive because we know that Pisces has a tongue and that tongue can kind of get you in trouble. Okay. So make sure you monitor your words during the second week. Let's move on, go forward to the third week. And I'm literally looking at your astrology chart, or at least the Pisces rising astrology chart. So when I say let's move on to another week, we're starting in the March 15 area. Now, this time we have some energy that comes up regarding your health. And this means that secrets are revealed during this time. So you might have some hidden health challenge that comes up that you might need to pay attention to and go to get checked out. We also remember talking about that Venus energy, that Pisces energy. It is now literally in your 12th house, the sign of Pisces. So it's like a double whammy of extra Piscean type energy, right? But it's also in the energy, the sign of Pisces for endings. So you might have a time where you're thinking a lot about death and mortality. You're thinking about restrictions. You're thinking about, what is next. And you might fall in love with this to the point of where you start researching and trying to find out more information about the occult or or the next level or spirituality or religion or something, right? This could be a time for you to really be thinking. At this point during this week, you're going to have Venus and Mercury both retrograde, right? So this could be, and Mercury, and I like to use Mercury in the sense that Mercury is an energy for writing and communicating, but it is also a little playful energy, right? A little childlike energy. And you might be thinking of the times when you had a better life, a better childlike existence. And you might be really into that energy of, oh, when I was a kid, I used to eat this and it was so good and I can't eat it now because I'm older. Or when I was a kid, we used to go to this place and things have changed. So it might have you in that nostalgia for childlike activities. And if you are an adult and you can't really do some of the activities you used to do, you can always make new memories with children in your life. This is a good time for that. Okay. So also speaking of this week, I wrote down here the energy. Energy there's a secret energy this week and is associated with incest. So, and if that's the case, I really apologize for anyone who's experiencing that, but you might receive information about an incestuous relationship. And it might not necessarily be you. It could be you. It could be someone close to you, but this energy is there. So I have to speak on it when I see it there. And there is a lot of turbulent energy with all the retrogrades. We have North Node retrograde, we have Venus retrograde, we have Mercury retrograde, and there's a lot of abandoned child kind of like energy. So when you have a child that doesn't have the parents there to give guidance, the child tends to just do whatever and run amok with directionless. And you might have this directionless energy in your life at this point, and that's a lot to deal with, right? So what do? You have to take time to meditate. You have to go for walks in nature. You have to take time to focus yourself, to center yourself, and do activities that bring you back to have a direction, because that energy is out there. Um, let's see. And that energy is also aspecting your health, right? So there's some energy. So the moon is there impacting your health, which means secrets being revealed. So this might be a disease or disorder or something that you thought you had under control might show back up, and you might find out that it's not necessarily under control, and you need to take care of it. Diseases associated with those energies are more childlike in nature. It's like children who they get measles, mumps, rubella, that kind of energy. So you might have communication about that. And it might not be you directly, remember, but it is something that impacts you. So this energy is something that you actually hear about because it's directly related to your life, right? Which means if it's not you directly, it could be someone close to you, right? Or if you work in a school, it can, and say there's an outbreak of measles, mumps, or something like that, that would impact you. And a school would be an institution, right? So this could impact your health. Same thing if you're in a hospital and there's an outbreak of a flu or some type of virus, it will impact you because hospital is an institution, health being the virus or whatever that's breaking out. All right, take that how it resonates for you. All righty, and then let's move on to the big week. You already had one big week, but moving to, well, there's two big weeks coming up, but for you, still where there's a lot of energy changing because your Jupiter becomes very prominent during this next week, which is around the 22nd. And that can mean an increase in wealth, right? Increase in money resources. So you could, because it's actually in your house of money, which is career, but how is ways that you earn money, which is not the same as your 10th house. So it could be money coming in. So this week, starting on the 22nd, could actually be a good week for you to see some money increase. So maybe you're selling something, maybe you have a product that you've launched and that product takes off and you get a lot of sales, or maybe you get someone owes you money, they give you money back, or there's a lot of different ways for you to get money during that week. You could be very lucky and win the lottery or something to that impact. Either way, you can see an improvement in your money during that particular time. And let's see. Let's check out one other thing here. So in your 11th house, which is historically like the Aquarius area, you do have to watch out for a little bit of damage to like your ankles or cramps, and extreme fatigue, like not normal fatigue, like you're just so tired for no real reason, right? You might need to just take time to rest. You might feel a little bit old, right? In this sense, you feel like no matter your age, you might just feel worn out. And it may be because you've been working entirely too hard. You've been working in some type of industry, it could be with computers or whatever it is. And so you may have eye strain from work looking at a screen all day. You haven't been eating as well with your health, and now you're like, oh, I just need to rest and recover because I've been eating too much junk food, and you're coming off a junk food high. There's lots of different reasons for it, but you might have an extreme weakness during this week, started on the 22nd. Okay. And then let's see what else I wrote down for you. Sibling conflicts can start to take place during this time. I wrote that down because I see that um, this energy happening here. So, whatever the case is and whatever the reason is, remember diplomacy is always your best tool. And sometimes it's best not to talk to someone, right? Don't give them your energy, especially during this time because so much is going on. Then we get to the week. Let's start with March 26th, March 27th, and 28th. So the 26th is when the moon goes into Pisces, right? So the moon in Pisces, which, you know, they people say that Pisces are emotional like the moon because we change with the tides like with the moon, right? However, when the moon goes into Pisces, it ends up being a really difficult time for a Piscean. It is a really emotionally challenging time, and it's an emotionally weak time, right? So you're drained mentally. It's like, oh my God, it's so much. I just need to recover. I really need a break, right? If there's any other time that you need a break, it's this time. That takes place the 26th, the 27th, and the 28th. That energy is going to be really strong. The moon is a dreamy energy. Pisces is a dream constellation. Like we love to dream. So you could be in your head and dreaming and not getting things done, right? Not putting forth whatever effort you need for work, for just living each day. If you're retired, for just getting up out of bed might be difficult for you because you're just in this dreaming kind of state. The way to get over that is to ground yourself in reality and to do active things, not active meaning don't go do martial arts, but active like go for a walk, go for a stroll in the park, right? Something to get to where you have to pay attention, but you're not necessarily going to put yourself in harm's way because you might zone out, right? So you don't want to be skydiving and having to focus and then zone out, right? So do something to actually help you to bring yourself back to reality. Grounding energy, like going walking barefoot in the grass, if you're in a place where the temperatures allow that, that would be a good thing to do here. Another thing is that you can have success in legal and business matters during this time. That is favored. Pay attention to your health because when you are chronically fatigued, your body's calling out for rest, your bodily systems don't work so well. So something else could go on, some autoimmune disorder if you have could be, you see that it flares up. Um, the other issue is the Pisces rules the feet, and the feet are tied to your nervous system and your liver. This is not a good time for you to drink or consume any alcohol. Also, watch your other liquids that you're consuming because then your side note, I'm Dr. Fryson. So your kidneys are impacted by what you consume in the form of liquids, and your liver is greatly impacted by alcoholic beverages. And all of that is actually related to your feet, which is why reflexology is so good for you. However, during this time, it's not a good time for you to have people touching your feet, messing with your feet, or any of that. It's a time for you to just rest and recover and consume things that are going to be kind to your liver, kind to your kidneys, kind to your feet. Don't do too much damage. So if you like to dance, maybe don't overdo it, right? Don't, take care of your feet. Um, Music therapy would be great for you during this time, right? To help you bring yourself back to a nice, calm, peaceful state and reduce stress, which when you reduce stress, you will also help those organs to function better. Be careful of the medical remedies that are available for you because this might not be a good time for you. If there's a side effect listed on something, you might actually have that side effect. You might see a desire for sweets because you're craving the need for comfort, something to, make you feel stable during this time. But be careful because, of course, that could come back and have an impact on you later that you don't like because, it could be expensive in the waistline. So, another thing that I wrote down for you is that this is a hardworking time for you, and you could have some luck, some extra luck this week, and you're going to have more of those sibling type conflicts and you're going to have the energy of making lemons out of lemonade, which means that you're going to say, you know what, things aren't going exactly how I need for them to go. And I don't have the energy to do X, but I do have enough energy to do Y and maybe even Z. And then you're going to focus on some other things, which will actually be beneficial. It is more of a time for you to not necessarily work one on one, face to face with people, but to use technology to reach people and that way you can actually take time for yourself while you're also focusing on interacting with others. And if you have a business, you can still interact with your clients that way. Okay. So be mindful of your relationships, be mindful of your health, your feet, your liver, your organs, your nervous system, and be mindful of your mind, right? Get yourself some rest and recover as much as you need it and get ready for April where you're going to be really busy with a lot of work. All right. That's what I have for you guys. Until next time, take care. Bye, Pisces.